and what we can do to make that work. So we're going to look at some examples from Titus. If you've got your Bible with you and you want to follow along, we're going to chapter 3. We're going to look at the kind of example that Paul lays out for Titus, the kind of things he's looking for. And what I want to send you out of here when my half hour is done, I want to send you out of here with one word. One word. So if I can get you to learn one word tonight, that's one of the most important words in Christianity, then I will consider myself mildly successful, okay? Second thing is, as you can tell, I'm going to use this high-tech device here behind me. One of the things that you guys have simply accepted as being a part of the church that I'm the pastor of, you accept two things. First, you accept how I pronounce things. And second, you accept how I spell things without question, okay? We all good with that? I'm actually not joking. That's really part of the deal. So I'm going to be writing some stuff on the board, and you're also going to accept the handwriting with which I write it in too. So what we're going to do is we're going to have two categories of things that Paul's talking about, and these are the kind of attributes that you would expect to see in different categories of people. So we're going to be talking about two categories of folks tonight. We're going to be talking about believers and non-believers. Okay? And we're going to look at some attributes, and we're going to pull them right out of the scripture passage. So the first sentence, I'm going to read it, and we're going to skip right over it. That is, remind the believers to submit to the government and its officials. I have absolutely nothing to say about that. Okay, so believers, that's who we're talking to. And we want to remind them to do a certain series of things. Okay? So the first thing that believers need to do is they need to be, there's a lot happening here. You have to focus and stay with me here tonight, okay? First thing they need to be is what? Obedient. Somebody define that word for me. Do what you're told, okay? Pretty simple. So they want to be obedient. What's this? Okay, so they want to do what they've been told. Again, remember what that was. This is a continuation of what we talked about on Sunday. Y'all remember what we talked about on Sunday, right? Talking about how people should do things, and we had lists of people, lists to obey, depending on what category, what age group, and what gender you're in. And young men is probably the only one you guys remember. What were they supposed to do? Not be stupid or show self-control. Okay? That's the only thing young men have to do. Everybody else has long list. Young men not be stupid, and they have the lowest success rate. So once we've listed all those things out. If you're interested in seeing what those are, if you weren't here on Sunday, you can go back and watch the video from church on Sunday, and I went over those in painstaking detail about things that we expect people to do to display wholesome teaching. And so after going through those lists and establishing those things, the first thing to do is need to be obedient, which means now that I've told you all that stuff, you got to go do it. Because hearing it is great. Understanding it is important. But doing it is really the only thing that matters. You can comprehend it, learn about it, study it, read it, learn it upside down, learn it in 9 different languages, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. If you're not obedient to it, it doesn't change anything. That's first thing. Second thing he tells you to do is what? Ready to do good. So this one requires preparation, right? Now you can do good things, and you can do good things spontaneously. Like watch this one spontaneous thing that I'm about to do right here. Ready? Hey, Suze, they have dinner for you back there if you want to go get it. Wasn't that a nice thing I just did? I think that was great. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. All right. Now, the only way that was able to happen is I had to go tell them ahead of time she was coming. And there, look, everybody, look right there. Look at me winning at the husband thing right now, right in front of your very eyes, okay? And I embarrassed my wife. It's like 2 for 2 on that one. So the idea is that you have to prep to do these things. You have to be ready. How many of you could say on a consistent basis that you are prepared to do good? That's a rhetorical question. But that's a challenge. Now, sometimes, yeah. Ever so often, I get into a situation and I find myself completely unprepared to do good. Usually, the time I'm not prepared to do good, I'm suffering from one of 4 things. I'm hungry, I'm angry, I'm lonely, or I'm tired. HALT. Most people, when they're not prepared to do good, they're suffering from one of those things. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Okay, so be prepared, which means, and also being prepared takes forethought, right? I have to think through these things. I have to be prepared because doing good, while important, and while we have great expectations of other people doing good to us, which certainly we do, we also need to make the preparation so that when the time comes, we're able to pay it forward, for lack of a better term. Doing good, something we have to prepare to do because it does not come naturally to us. All right, next. What's next? Not slander. I made a comment about that one on Sunday that absolutely nobody laughed at, which I'm not sure why because I thought it was hilarious. But slandering is something that people tend to do. Might notice that? Or am I the only one? I'm going to wait till somebody at least shakes their head. Okay, I want to know you're hearing me. All right, slander. You want to talk about something that people today are like ninja level proficient at? Man, we can slander anybody. And we now have this amazing new thing that's been introduced in the last 10 years or so that makes slandering become almost an Olympic sport. What is that? What is it? Close. Social media. Okay? Come on. Am I the only one here that knows this? Right? We have a whole Facebook page here in St. Mary's designated for nothing but slandering everything that happens in this town. Okay? So, we just love it. I'm telling you, if you want to be on this side of this thing, don't do that. Can you point out things that are wrong? Yes, that's not slander. To try to expect better of somebody, that's not slander. To just go and tear down everything that, man, it's exhausting. So first of all, don't be that guy, which is important, but also don't give that guy a listening ear. I'll tell you, away from here, there's a person that does not attend church here, so I'm not talking about any of you or any of your families. But there's a place that I go often, and there's a guy there, and this guy this guy just bathes in slander. Every time I talk to him, I don't even know the guy's name, but he just relishes the opportunity to come complain about something. The other day, he was complaining about a grocery store. I don't care about grocery stores. But he just went on for like 20 minutes about what's wrong with the grocery store. I cared about none of it. And you know what I did? I kept going about my business. And he followed me around to tell me about this grocery store. And he was, ugh. So I'm telling you that it's draining. And I'm telling you, you don't be rude unless you have to, because I was kind of rude to this guy. But don't allow that to take up place in your life, because slander is like water. Whatever you pour it into, it's going to fit, but it's going to take up all the space. You don't want that. So just be anti-slander. Some stuff going on here in town. The people have been enjoying slandering here lately. I'm going to talk about that in a second. All right, next. What's next after don't slander? Consider it. In my translation, it says avoid quarreling, because it wants me to spell. I'm sure that's not right, but there you go. Avoid quarreling. Okay, so be peaceful. That's the idea. Okay, so what is quarreling? Is quarreling? Maybe used that word before. Yeah, what's that? It's a hard word to say. Yes, it's even harder to spell, as you can tell. Quarreling and slander are not exactly the same thing. Slander is just they're in the same family though. Where slandering is just like, I hate grocery stores. Quarreling is, I want to do I hate grocery store things, but I want to make it about you. That's quarreling. Okay? So if I would have turned around to this guy and say, I think grocery stores are kind of great. Then he's mad at me, and now we're going to quarrel. And I did not want this to become this. So that's why I was like, I'm not even in the conversation. I don't care about grocery stores at all. So, and what I was doing by not giving his slander space in my life, I was avoiding the next step. I didn't want to quarrel with him. I didn't want to argue about grocery stores of all things. I don't care. And that's what I'm telling you. Is there a time that you need to stand up and say something? Yes. There's a time where you have to stand up and say, whatever this thing here that's going on is wrong and needs to stop. Yes. But you don't want that to turn into, now we're just going to quarrel about it. just for the sake of fighting. And sometimes, and believe me, there are people, and you know them. You work with them, you're around them, you see them, who just live to argue about stuff. And sometimes that's fun. If you're arguing with your friend and you're still friends at the end, great. If that's something you enjoy doing, great. But if that's something that starts to tear you down, starts to fill up your life like that bowl of water I was talking about, where now it crowds out space of anything good, then just let it go. Just let it go. Maybe that's a fight for somebody else to take on. Okay? Don't quarrel. Let's see here. After don't quarrel, let me see where I'm at here in my list. Okay, instead they should be, I think the next thing is gentle is on mine. Who's good at this? Everyone say they're good at this? All right, so I got a bunch of honest people here tonight. Excellent. Gentleness is not our natural thing. Now, we can be nurturing, we can be caring, but normally, before gentleness, something has to happen first. Okay? Gentleness is not a primary emotion. Gentleness is a secondary emotion. But it has to start with, I care about you. I want something good to happen to you. Because I can tell you right now, minus that initial emotion of care, gentleness will not happen. Politeness can happen. Nurturing to some degree can happen, but gentleness will not happen without some kind of motivating factor beforehand. And because gentleness is not a default setting for anybody. We as people, and we've done it, and I'm not pointing the finger at you, I'm pointing it at me. We've all done it. I have a goal I'm trying to get to, and you run over the person in front of you. We'll all do it unless we're motivated by some other factor. So to get to gentleness, we need a gateway to get there. And that is the person in front of you has to matter, because if they don't, you're going to run over them. Or you're going to stand there and whine about grocery stores for a half an hour, okay? That really bothered me, can you tell? All right, so after gentleness, and the gentleness, which again takes a gateway to get there, anybody else have the next one there? All right, I'm going to call that humble. All right, humility or humble. Now, this one right here is one that our culture today does not comprehend what this means. we mistake humbleness for depravity. And what I mean by that is it's almost depravity is the wrong word. I'm trying to think. I think very lowly of myself, therefore I'm a humble person. That's actually false. They're not the same thing. You don't have to think lowly of yourself to be a humble person. Now, you also can't think that you're the best in the business. You can't go the other way either. But being humble means you can have self-respect, and you can think well of yourself, and you can have positive self-esteem and be humble. You can't be arrogant and be humble, but arrogant is not the same thing. So what I see happen a lot is people will try to take on an air of humility or an air of being humble by being so down on themselves that it's ridiculous. And I actually witnessed that a lot. That's not the same thing. And I need you to know that tonight, because when your kids are going to be talking about this, I want you to watch for this in them. Thinking that you're garbage is not humble. It's wrong. It's an incorrect thing to think. So this is one it's a good thing to be humble. It's a bad thing to be self-effacing and bad to yourself. You don't want to be there. So don't confuse the two. All right. Any questions about the things on this list? Anybody else translation have anything else that I didn't cover here on this list of 6? Get most all of them. All right. Let's go to the non-believer list here. Okay. So unbeliever, and this list starts in where am I at? Verse 3. Okay. Once again, first thing on the list is what? Foolish. That's right. What does it mean to be foolish? Don't steal my word, but good one. Being stupid is foolish. What else? Give me an example of being foolish. Okay, not using your brain. Great example. Okay. This is a yes or no question. I'm not asking for specific examples. Do we see lots of examples of things going on today that fit under this category? Yes. Okay. And the reason we do that is because people have neglected all of this stuff to just default to here. Cool thing about foolishness, where I've told you that being obedient and being ready to good things takes intention, takes forethought, takes, like gentleness. I told you, you got to have a gateway emotion to get there. You have to start with something else to get to gentleness. Foolishness, no effort whatsoever. You don't even have to try. It's the simplest thing to do. You can be foolish and give forth no energy whatsoever. No forethought, no instruction, no wisdom, no knowledge, nothing. You can be foolish without any of that stuff. It's easy. And that's why people do it. And next after foolish is what? Disobedient. I mean, I'm sure you see the relationship there, right? Where this is listening and taking in wisdom and doing what's right, this is the opposite of that thing. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And one of the fastest ways that we get to be disobedient and we engage in foolishness is the next thing on the list, which we are misled. Very good. Led astray. Okay. What does it mean to be misled? You might know what that word means. You really not know? Or are you afraid to answer? I don't want them to jump on me. Following a bad example is what it means to be misled, okay? What it means to be misled is you have chosen a poor example, which means somebody has influenced you, somebody has talked you into something, somebody has sold you a bill of goods to planted a bad idea in your brain. Somewhere along the way, somebody has done something, and you either by being foolish or being disobedient and get somebody trying to give you good advice, you've decided, I'm going to follow the bad example. In case you're wondering, there's infinite examples of that on that end of the building tonight. Lots of examples down there because kids are great at this, to pick poor people to follow. That's why we got them here, so we can teach them better. Okay, so being misled by bad examples. And speaking of being misled by bad examples, what's the next thing? Yep. Slave to lust and pleasure. How much of an explanation you want me to give you about this one? Let's see how much we get Pastor Tim to blush on this one, right? Every bad idea that is foolish, that is not going to be recommended by somebody who cares about you, that is a bad example. When you decide that's going to be the focus of my life and the only thing that I want, you have just run your life aground, and go in a direction you don't want to go. Again, being a slave to lust and pleasure is something that lots and lots of people have tried, and everybody has loved it for the first 5 minutes, and it was awful after that. Everybody has that example, and anybody who's going to lead you in an obedient way and give you good advice is going to tell you that. To go with your base desires, to try to satisfy all these lustful pleasures, whatever you go forward and do, fun at first, and the bottom comes out of it real quick. It's awful. So stay away from that. Okay, what's the next thing we run into? After that, our lives are full of what? Yep, mine says evil and envy, so that's easier to spell. Okay, evil. You guys good with that one? Evil is bad. I mean, you kind of get the concept. But what's envy? You're looking at somebody else and say, wishing I had that, okay? Again, I mean, keeping up with the Joneses, we actually have a phrase that means that, all right? This is desiring something that God has decided not to give you, at least not yet. I just made a joke before we started. I told you that I'm now the owner of 3 cars. We have 2 licensed drivers and 3 cars at my house. Something I've never had before. I can tell you, at my age today, and my experience level today, I'm going to be able to deal with that. I want to tell you this: if I was 22 and had 3 cars, that would not be good, because I was not ready to deal with that kind of responsibility, nor could I afford it at the time. But the idea is sometimes God's going to tell you that's not something you need to have yet. I mean, how many people have we seen in our world who got too much too soon and were completely irresponsible with it. People who win the lottery, who end up going bankrupt, those kind of things. I mean, those examples are out there all over the place. Professional athletes who sign these gazillion-dollar contracts and just blow through that money and just mess up their whole lives because they have envy. They pursued something, and before they knew what they did, they had it, and then had no ability to deal with it at all. So sometimes when we're envying things, yeah, you could set that as a goal. Say, I'm going to work toward that to see if I can attain that at some point in my life. However, God is looking at you and saying, this is not a bad thing you're desiring. I'm just telling you not yet. Don't get out in front of your skis on that one. If God is saying not yet, you do yourself a big favor to listen to that. Okay. Last thing that we're told here is the last thing that they do is what? What is it? Hate each other. What a terrible idea that is. Yet we all just kind of limped our way through an election season, and we heard hatred coming from everybody. I mean, everybody's guilty of it. And I'm telling you, to allow this to consume your life is a problem, a place you don't want to go. Hatred is an awful motivation. Hatred is an awful thing to sit with. Because let me tell you what, hatred is not a natural thing for us. God did not create us with a capacity for hate. We learned that ourselves. And any emotion that is artificial, like hatred, when you experience it, your body doesn't know what to do with it. So let me tell you what happens. Hatred always leads to one thing. You know what it is? Starts with an A and rhymes with gur. Anger. That's where it comes from. That's where it goes. And that's what we do with all emotion that we don't know what to do with. It makes us angry. Somebody, I mean, you've seen weird examples of this. Somebody gets surprised by something and it makes them angry when you're like, this was a nice thing, but they're surprised, so they're mad. When you don't know what to do, anger is what we default with. And since hatred is a foreign thing, something that we taught ourselves how to do, when we feel it, we don't know what to do with it, so bam, we're angry. I went to the city council meeting this week, and I can tell you, there was a lot of this going on. People who felt this but didn't know what to do with it said they were mad. Wow, were they mad. And when I left, I was so mad I had a smoke cloud going all the way from City Hall back to here. And there was a mission meeting going on, and boy, they had an exciting time when I got there because I was a little fired up. But the idea is we don't know what to do with that. And things that we humans don't, in emotions that we don't know what to do with, anger is how we burn them off. And this is a big one. So you want to be careful about this. All right. I told you I was going to boil all this down to one word. And I have a prize right here that I'm going to give away. If somebody could tell me what that one word is. I've actually used it a couple of times here tonight, so I haven't been a secret about it. But between these two lists, between this list and this list, as I look at these, I see one thing, one word that differentiates all of this stuff from all of this stuff. Anybody have an idea what that word is? Okay, God. God is always the answer, Patsy. I'm not giving you a word for that one. Okay? Good job, though. Love? Love would make a difference. Anybody got another one? Obedience? That's a good one. Faith? Faith definitely makes a difference. Not the word I'm looking for. Sin motivates a lot of this stuff. No question about that. All right, I'll give you the first letter. Here, you want to play a game? All right, who wants to guess a letter? Somebody guess a letter. We'll do hangman. I got it right here. Oh, you want a T? Right here. Huh? A V? Nope, no V. An I? Nope, no I. We got V and I. A? No A. Nope, no N. S? Good guess, but no S. I don't want to. I'm giving away a prize. I'm not making it easy on you. Oh, there is an R.
Effort.
There it is. Dr. Nutt has won. Effort. You see why? You see why I say that? Why does effort make a difference? That's right. Every one of these takes effort. All these, no effort at all. And I would say, as Christians, let me tell Dr. Nutt what he won. Dr. Nutt has won a free cheeseburger from the Roots Pub. I got this in the mail today.
Oh boy, thank you.
There you go. So I'm giving away a cheeseburger, which is a great sacrifice for me, as you all know. But yeah, it sure did. It took a lot of effort on that one. Effort, friends. The idea here is that effort makes all the difference. As a Christian, you need to be making an effort to do things. You're an effort to make your life different. If you're not, then you're defaulting to this stuff over here. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to hammer this on Sunday as we come back and look at this, because the idea is we put forth effort to lots of things. What I'm telling you is you better make sure a good number, maybe not necessarily all of them, but a good number of those are Christian expressions, because giving evidence of Christ in your life is the most important thing for a Christian to do. And we do that when we put forth effort, and these things here all require effort. So as you're evaluating your life, as you're thinking about, what's in your life and what's going on with life and all these different things, I'm telling you, the most important thing you can do, and of lots of important things, there's lots of important things of walking with Christ, absolutely. But putting forth effort is the one that's going to matter. Because there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying any of you, because all of you are here tonight, but there are plenty of people out there who want to claim the name of Christian, but are putting forth no effort to display any attributes that he's told us to. And I think that's what Paul was getting at with Titus. I think that's what he was expressing to Titus. And so vicariously, he's writing that to us. The best thing, most important thing that we can do as followers of Christ is making sure that we have consistent effort in what he has asked us to do. Questions about that? Let me give you. Let me finish the story with my my smoking head that came out of the city council meeting the other night. With Tuesday morning, after I was at the meeting on Monday night, I went over to the Marshallese church and I met the pastor over there. And his name is Pastor Ted. He's a very nice man. When I pulled up, Lindsay went with me, so there were two of us. When we pulled up, that man was absolutely terrified that we were there, terrified of us. And I went over and we walked over to him and said, hey, and then we introduced ourselves. And he was still very kind of, I don't know, until we talked to him a little bit and he realized what we were. He was the nicest man. After that, he was making jokes and things, but it took him 2-3 minutes to warm up to us. And let me tell you what I did. I have invited him and his church to come to the community Thanksgiving service. So their church is going to be a part of that. He's going to come and do the prayer for the evening, and they're going to bring their choir to sing. So they're going to be a part of the service down there. So if, not to put you all on the spot, but if you'd like to put forth a little effort, help me out. I would like to have a good crowd there to just support what's going on in our community, because some things have happened that make us look not so great. And I would like to be able to extend the hand of friendship to them. So if any of you have any opportunity, can join us. It's a week from this coming Sunday down at the theater at 6 o'clock. 4 or 5 churches here in town, including theirs, are going to be involved in it. And would love to have you come and be a part of that, of making an effort to do something good. Are there still some questions or things that we did? No, of course there are. But caring about people is never wrong, and that's what we want to do. So if any of you have any are going to be in town that weekend, it's the 24th, and could come put forth some effort and say welcome to a new community in our town, that would be awesome. And I can't say this for fact, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the choir is going to be incredible. So you're not going to want to miss that either. So, all right. Any other questions about any of that? I've calmed down a lot since Monday night. I was pretty mad. So, all right. Well, Dr. Nutt now is going to talk to us about an example of somebody of of this list over here. So, all right. Well, he's got a good one he wants to share with you.